Thank you very much. I believe Dr. Lezek, Piper, and Bushana have summarized all my points, and therefore I'll take your questions. In looking at this concept of the incentives, it's on. Yep. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Thank you. In looking at the concept of developing consumer demand for quality food, trying to derive myself from just trying to address the quality aspect from a consumer's point of view, and looking at it from an agricultural practitioner, a nutritional practitioner, and a health practitioner. The agriculturalist will tell you issues on food security, production aspects, that's quality. The nutritionist will tell you the attributes of the product, or what does it have, the elements in it, the nutritional content, all that. That's to a nutritionist, that's quality. To a health practitioner is, how safe is it? What diseases do you get from it? And so we have a complex issues here in trying to demystify the element of food quality. And if I ask the audience here, what's food quality to you? Quality will be as defined by as many as you are here, because each of you would look at quality from your own perspective. And therefore, giving me this topic becomes a very difficult part to try and isolate exactly the real contents of food quality. But from our own point of view, based in a fresh produce perspectives in industry in Kenya, where I work in the agri-food industry as an exporter of fresh produce to Europe, this provides a very different dimension where there is trade between the developing countries and developed countries, and quality as defined from the developing countries and from the developed countries. And therefore, we want to just from an introductory point of view is just to look at how trade goes on between the high-value products from the developing world into the developing countries. And of course, we know that these are very good benefits in terms of providing incomes to the rural economies, in getting lots of development in the rural economies, and providing greater opportunities for smallholder farmers to access markets that they would otherwise not have access to. But there are issues that you need to look at along the value chain as we look at the suppliers directly into the consumers, and issues that are involved in it that would primarily cause food safety concerns. When we address it from the smallholder perspective, what techniques do the small growers understand that are attributed to concerns of health, food safety and nutrition and health issues? The small producers literally are clueless with regard to what practices they do that would have impact on food safety issues. And that information hardly exists, and yet they're providing product into the mainstream markets. And therefore, as an industry player, our role comes in trying to mitigate against the lack of knowledge and provide that sort of gap or backstop that gap, knowledge gap, to the producers in trying to dilute, not necessarily dilute, but to give the content as raw as it is, yet simplified in a simplified form, without diluting the context of food safety concerns, which Piper had talked about on the microbial issues, the chemical issues, and the physical aspects that are key contaminants on food. The consumers, again, on the other hand, have a big influence on their quality demands, arising from big drives from either media initiatives in the UK, BBC, and certain media channels or newspapers would definitely isolate certain agenda or topics that would definitely drive the consumer's perceptions on what food to eat and where food comes from. And therefore, we have issues of food miles, we have issues of environmental awareness, we have issues of microbial contaminations, which are, again, a concept that is being driven with very, very major media campaigns in the West. In that context, the consumer's view would be defined in accordance with what sort of agendas that have been driven by the media campaigns. And therefore, again, in trying to isolate all these complexes, we are trying to relate, again, agricultural production on how it relates to aspects on health. There are agricultural practitioners involved, and they are also consumers of agricultural products. Agricultural practitioners are the farm workers and the farmers themselves. Are they at risk in their operations? Yes, because they are definitely have access to, or they have contact with certain pesticides and fertilizers issues that will definitely affect their health. Those are some of the points that we need to look at. We've largely been looking at it, I think, in the whole of this conference from the consumer's point of view. But what about from the agricultural practitioner's point of view? What sort of health issues are they exposed to? The exposure levels within that chain is extremely high because of the usage of very toxic elements within the input system. So this has to be addressed from this level, where, again, I believe, from my point of view as a supplier, wow, from this point of view of this collection of brains here, there is a lot of input that is required to be trickled down to the users down so that they can be able to understand the dangers of exposures, the dangers of using products and without necessarily either protective equipment or just understanding the sort of products that they're using. On the other hand, on the consumer's point of view, again, as I was mentioning earlier, media campaigns and things like that, but you also have brand owners, the retail businesses and the chains who have also come up with with brands that largely influence decisions to food. So I'll take an example of the UK retail situation, the Tesco and Waitrose and Sainsbury's and Morrison. Each of these big retail chains have their own brands. And these brands have specific needs, which are highlighted basically to food safety concerns, to environmental issues, and to worker welfare. And and all this in a box is meant to be attained by a smallholder far-fetched in a rural village in Africa or in Asia in order to feed the population in Europe. And all these complexities with boardroom decisions and without being demystified and simplified are taken to a population that has no understanding on these issues. And I believe the academia has a major role to play in trying to digest and simplify some of this information. At the moment, the private sector is very heavily involved in trying to get these campaigns down to the farmers. However, we can only do as much as we have the limitations in terms of the number of farmers who are contracted to a specific exporter or to a specific supplier. Those are the only sort of limitations those are the only scope of place that this can be attained. But I believe the institutions that we have represented in this place have capacity and sufficient resource to be able to reach down to the grassroots sufficiently in liaison with the private sector. As Dr. Lesek mentioned, there's a the triangulation form, where you have the private sector, public sector, and the research agencies collaborating together in reaching out towards aspects of managing food safety and health aspects. So this is the key components, and just trying to come up and trying to look at what sort of incentives you could get to develop consumer demand for food quality. I believe this will be based on creating very strong and simple food safety management systems. There's been concerns on, I think over and above, I've looked at the sort of systems we have. As Gushana was saying, the certification process is every year in, year out, we have standards coming up. There's proliferation of myriads of standards, 163 to be precise, that are being pegged on the smallholders. Why can't we need to look at a design and come up with a food safety management system that will encompass a whole lot of aspects that manage our overall food safety management program, which then the consumers will be able to understand and say, if it is environment, there's inclusion environment, how environment is affected from the supplier's perspective, and also how the consumer will be able to understand the health risk and the rest of the items. I also believe in an integrated farm management approach. Yesterday there was a very interesting discussion we had in one of these sessions, and one of the key things that was coming in is biodiversity management. And I believe biodiversity is a very crucial aspect and is a very key selling point, where there is diminished usage of pesticides and encouraging aspects of beneficial organisms to take care of pests and other disease organisms. So we have to literally again explore further the aspects of environmental integrated farm management to take a very holistic approach to a sustainable farming practice. And then also understanding the wastage along the value chain to enhance efficiencies. Wastage will come in as a result of, again, our understanding of quality, our perception of quality. An example is from the retail perspective. For example, if I'm selling green beans, it has to be as straight as a pencil and maybe has a certain dimension, and it's literally literally like a factory produced product. However, if somebody produces bent beans which have similar nutritional attributes, it will not be so, because that will be considered as a rejected product. I believe there has to be some gains and some win-win situation for both suppliers and the consumers. And I believe the consumers wouldn't mind eating bended beans, but there is a driving force from a different sphere that says bent beans probably are not healthy or something like that. I have no clue. Then there are also issues on technological advancements on both pre and post-harvest technologies. These are issues like such as MAP, modified atmospheric packaging, cold chain development along the value chain, and a whole lot of things that would enhance shelf life and would also develop the aspect of the product staying as finished as it is. And then we also have the still the element of crop and varietal developments for pest and disease tolerant, which will limit our usage of crop protection products and other nutritional aspects. And also looking at exploring avenues of drought and heat tolerant varieties, because we cannot ever underscore the fact that we are in a global warming, that climate change is real. I've looked at data in Kenya for the last 4 years in some of the farms that we run, and over the last 4 years we've seen a temperature rise in 5 degrees from 2006 to date. There's a 5 degrees centigrade in temperature. So this definitely means that we are in a situation where we have to again consider issues of having genomes that will be able to tolerate or to withstand such kind of issues. And also innovative solutions to water management and environmental conservation. And finally, I believe media plays a very significant role in either positive or negative bit of it, in promoting agricultural consumption. The media can either kill it or can grow it. So I believe for us who are media practitioners, it is good to have an informed perspective, not just pick up a small snippet and say, all right, this is the big headline story. But if it comes from an informed position, then that would be pretty crucial. But the problem is, the brain sitting behind here don't usually have much access to the media. Media has access out there. Now, I don't know how we need to explore such that these brains are able to get there and communicate aspects to the media. Thank you very much.